All right. Well, 6:02 as promised, let's get this thing going. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to Deschutes County's virtual open house for our Hunnell Road project. My name is Chris Doty. I'm a road department director for Deschutes County. Also joining me this evening is Cody Smith, county engineer, also pictured here in your video screens. This is the first virtual open house or virtual presentation we've ever conducted for a project. And so while I apologize for maybe the impersonal nature of communicating with the public through a Zoom or online interface, I'm actually excited to report that we've had over 80 people sign up to hear this presentation here tonight. And so I see we have 43 folks, 45 numbers are continuing to tick up. So a lot of folks are joining us for this presentation, and we're just excited that this tool appears to be able to reach a lot of people. And so, again, thank you for joining us. And hit the next slide, if you would, Cody. Again, Chris Doty, Road Department Director for Deschutes County, and that's Cody Smith, County Engineer. We're going to tag team this presentation tonight. We're actually located in different parts of one building, and the person who's running this meeting is located downtown, and so apologize if things get a little wonky at times. We'll do our best to make it flow. So as far as the agenda goes and things that we want to talk about this evening, we'll talk a little bit about our ground rules and Zoom meeting protocols, basically ways that we want to communicate with you both during this meeting and then also after the meeting, and so on and so forth. We'll touch on the project purpose and need, the project scope, talk about efforts to date that have occurred. Then we'll present the current concept plan for what Hunnell Road could look like, talk about the potential schedule, and then in the end, get to questions and answers, the Q&A. So as far as communications options, you should see on your Zoom interface, your Zoom screen there, a little Q&A button down at the bottom. And what we'd like you to do is, if you have a question during the presentation, you're not able to speak, and there's just too many people on this meeting to allow that feature to occur. But we do ask that you type that question out, and then we're going to wait till the end of the presentation to get to some of those questions. So if you don't mind, maybe typing a question in there and being a little patient, and we'll get to it. If there's too many questions to get to tonight, or if we need to do more information or more research to answer a question, we do intend to publish the questions and answers from the presentation tonight on our website at the conclusion in a day or two from this meeting. So we will get to all the questions. Hopefully we can get to them tonight, but if not, they'll be available for inspection. And finally, if you don't feel like asking a question to God and everybody here tonight, in the Q&A button, feel free to just email us directly. Also, if you have questions maybe that are centered around specific impacts to your property, where's my mailbox going to go, and yada yada, go ahead and just feel free to reach out to us directly at hunnellroad@deschutes.org. That email will go to both Cody and myself. So with that, Cody.
All right. So I'm going to start tonight with giving us a brief history of Hunnell Road. Hunnell Road was originally established in Crook County in 1914 as the WX Hunnell Road. Deschutes County didn't form until 1916 out of a portion of Crook County. So this road actually predates the existence of Deschutes County. The road was established to connect the 1908 G.W. Horner Road, which was also known as the Laidlaw and Powell Butte Grade Road. It was also known as the Nichols Market Road, and today is known as Tumalo Road, to connect it to the 1908 Ovid W.B. Riley Road. And where those two roads connected existed or was located where today the present Hobby Lobby store is, there at the corner of Highway 20 and Butler Market Road. The segment south of Cooley Road was never really, based on our records, was never really developed or used to any extent, and that right-of-way was actually vacated back in 1997. So from our road records and also from scouring our county commissioner journals, period of time between 1972 and 2005, the county received numerous requests and petitions from residents and property owners on Hunnell Road to improve that road. So some examples of that were in 1972, some residents had petitioned the county to pave the 0.2 mile segment south of Tumalo Road, work that actually did occur. In 1981, residents petitioned the county to improve Hunnell Road to county specifications between Rogers Road and 0.6 mile north of Rogers Road. In 1983, the Board of County Commissioners actually contemplated the formation of a local improvement district to improve Hunnell Road, which would basically put an assessment on all the properties that were on Hunnell Road to pay for improving the road. That plan was scrapped just because of the cost of the project and the impact of those property owners. 1998, there was a request from some property owners to address safety concerns north of Rogers Road, resulting from a series of several vehicle crashes that had occurred at that time. In 1994, residents again petitioned the county to improve Hunnell Road to county specifications. This time the 0.5 mile segment north of Rogers Road. And then also just the last example here in 2005, when some property owners who were developing, doing some residential development on their property on Hunnell Road had requested to the Board of Commissioners that Hunnell Road between Rogers Road and Cooley Road be constructed. So throughout that period, the road department and previous boards of county commissioners had considered improvement of Hunnell Road, but didn't carry out any project ultimately due to other capital improvement priorities and insufficient funding at those times. So I want to talk a little bit about both the counties and the City of Bend's transportation system plan. So first, just for those of you unfamiliar, a transportation system plan, or TSP, is a plan required by the state of Oregon for cities and counties that describes the respective jurisdiction's transportation system and outlines projects and policies to meet transportation needs over a 20-year period. So with the county's TSP, there was an update to the TSP in 1998, and in that update, Hunnell Road between Tumalo Road and the Bend UGB was designated as a collector road. We'll talk a little bit more about what that term collector means here in a minute. The most recent update to the county's TSP occurred in 2012, and with that update and the projects that are identified in that TSP, include two high priority projects on Hunnell Road. The first being improvement of Hunnell Road between Tumalo Road and Rogers Road, and the second being construction of Hunnell Road between Rogers Road and Cooley Road, the segment presently that's relatively primitive. So the City of Bend, in their most recent transportation system plan, also identified some projects related to Hunnell Road. So in the city's 2020 TSP update, Hunnell Road between Loco Road and the UGB has been designated as a collector road. Again, we'll talk about that term here more in a minute. And then in their plan, they've identified 3 expansion-driven projects for improvement to Hunnell Road. The first of those projects is the Hunnell Road extension, which is a project to construct a 2-lane north-south collector roadway between Loco Road and the UGB boundary, which essentially would be part of our project that we're presenting tonight. The second of those projects was the Hunnell Road Rural Road Upgrade and Realignment Project, which will include realigning Hunnell Road south of Loco Road along an S-shaped alignment so that it intersects with Cooley Road where Hunnell Road south of Cooley Road currently intersects near the Les Schwab Tire Center there on Cooley Road. And then lastly, a roundabout project at that intersection.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the term collector road and what that means. We'll talk about it generally, and then we'll talk about it as it pertains to Hunnell. Purpose of a collector road is it distributes traffic from lower functional class roads like the local roads and streets that some of you live on to higher functional class roads, arterial roads, and principal highways. Provides for circulation in residential neighborhoods, so to get from one part of a larger neighborhood and area to another. Provides a blend of access and mobility. So with collectors, not only do they serve kind of longer trip making capabilities, but they can also provide direct access to abutting properties, providing driveways, etc. Collectors are generally spaced at intervals to collect traffic from local roads and provide all developed areas a reasonable distance from a collector road. So it's part of a system, a network of local roads to collector roads to arterial roads to principal highways and so on. And the collector roads typically terminate at intersections with other collector roads or higher order roads like arterials and principal highways. Next slide there, Cody. So specific to Hunnell Road will collect traffic from a variety of local roads, Bowery Lane, Low Lane, Sunbeam Lane, Bahaku, one of my favorite named roads in Deschutes County, Bahaku Road, and Mitchell Lane, and then also provide access to adjacent properties as well. It then collects that traffic and distributes it to principal highways such as US 97 via Tumalo Road, or arterial roads such as Cooley Road, and then the Old Ben Redmond Highway via Rogers Road and also via Tumalo Road. This segment of Hunnell serves approximately 110 properties, kind of in the general travel shed. The current volume of Hunnell Road, and we really have only measured it in one location historically, but the current volume is approximately 400 vehicles per day measured south of Tumalo Road. Now, as far as future projections go, what do we anticipate, the volumes to be on Hunnell Road in the future? The tool that we've relied on is the Bend Metropolitan Planning Organization's traffic model in conjunction with the Oregon Department of Transportation's Transportation Planning and Analysis team over in Salem. That model is projecting a lot of growth based on zoning, types of land use, and then the type of system that could be in place to serve that type of land use. And it's a 2040 projection. That model indicates that there'll be 900 vehicles per day south of Bahaku and approximately 1,100 vehicles per day south of Rogers Road. And that's the best information we have regarding future traffic volume projections. Actually, see, that's question number 1 submitted tonight, traffic volume projections associated with completion of this project. I would say that these are build-out projections, and so they're not anticipated to be what's their day of opening per se. Something hopefully a little bit less than that.
So I want to talk briefly about the current conditions on Hunnell Road. So we'll first look at the segment between Loco Road and Rogers Road, which is about a 7/10 of a mile long segment. So presently, this piece of the road is mostly just an unimproved dirt road. In particular, the portion between Bowery Lane and Loco Road is a very primitive road, only passable generally by high clearance vehicles, a lot of rock outcroppings on that section. And then the section between Rogers Road and Tumalo Road, which is about a 2.6 mile length segment. This section of road has various levels of improvement and connectivity. There's a portion of this that is paved. It was actually paved by a private party some number of years ago without a permit or any kind of blessing from the county to do that. But nonetheless, there is some pavement on the road. And then one of the deficiencies on the road is some sharp curves that are included in the road alignment, particularly those two reversing curves there at the near the Bahaku Road intersection, and then also the the curve there south of Sunbeam Lane, where the road goes around the hill, and there's a couple of pictures there of those locations. As far as crash history on the road, when we look at crash history for a road project, we're usually looking at the most recent 5-year period that we have crash data available. So that period for us is the period between 2014 and 2018. And during that period, we had 4 reported crashes. We assume there's probably several more crashes than this, but as far as actual reported crashes where a report was submitted to DMV, this is what we have record of. So in 2014, there was a minor injury crash reported just south of Tumalo Road. Also a property damage only crash that occurred in that curve there south of Sunbeam Lane. And then in 2015 and 2016, there was, both those years, there was a property damage only crashes at the intersection with Rogers Road. All these crashes were fixed object crashes, which are generally roadway departure crashes. Vehicles left the travel roadway and hits a fixed object such as a tree or a rock or a fence post or something else on the roadside shoulder.
All right. So in terms of the scope of work, so what are we after with this project? What are we endeavoring to design and construct? Of course, we'll be constructing and improving the roadway to meet minimum collector road standards regarding the roadway geometry and correcting some of the deficiencies that Cody just mentioned. We'll be implementing traffic calming measures to reduce speed and maintain community livability. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the input we've had from folks in the area already and how we're trying to incorporate some of that into the design of Hunnell in recognition of its unique status through a very valued neighborhood. We'll be improving intersection safety through the corridor. So we'll have a brand new corridor with good intersection sight distance and safety attributes when this is all said and done. This next bullet, improving access for emergency services. So that's what we're after when we're building, parts of the system that connect to other parts. And providing access for emergency services is something I think that hopefully we can all agree upon, will be provided by making this link and this connection that historically, has not been there. And then finally, removing roadside hazards through this project that will be accomplished as well, and some of those things that contributed to crashes that Cody just noted. So efforts to date, kind of walk you through kind of how we got here in recent time frames. As we mentioned earlier, the 2012 TSP identified Hunnell Road as a project and identified it as a high priority project. So back when the hierarchy of projects were ranked back then, it was determined to be a high priority. That was all well and good. We didn't have a lot of money back in 2012. Now that changed quite a bit in 2017 with passage of House Bill 2017 through the state legislature. That increased the state gas tax and it really benefited Deschutes County by expanding our capital program. It capitalized our capital program. We have money to make improvements in our system that we historically haven't had. And we'll talk about some of the projects, hopefully, that you've seen in and around your area. In 2019, there was an effort made by ODOT to put forth an application, an infra grant application. This is a large federal program that funds large-scale projects, very competitive, and very few projects were awarded. As a part of the application for that project, the county put forth Hunnell Road, as kind of a supplemental project in that application as a way to show the amount of investment that local government will be making in the transportation system in and around the north end of Bend, which is what that infra grant was intended to help fund some of that project. And we'll talk about more that project more here in a few minutes. But we're not tied to, we don't have to deliver that project, Hunnell Road, because the infra grant was successful, but it was presented as a complementary project in that grant application. Flash forward to February of this year, after the project was budgeted. We did send a letter to property owners adjacent to Hunnell Road regarding survey work. So there are going to be surveyors in the neighborhood. We wanted to let people directly adjacent to the alignment of Hunnell know that there would be some surveyors in and around their property collecting information. And so that's kind of when some of the more recent information got out on the project. From February of this year to today, what we've done is we performed a topographic and boundary retracement survey. There's a lot of rich history for Hunnell Road, as Cody kind of alluded to earlier in the presentation, that had to be retraced to some degree. We performed a preliminary design, and we'll go over that here in a few minutes. And of course, anytime you do a project of this nature, you coordinate with the other utilities, and in this case, the irrigation district as well, that will be impacted by the project. So all that's happened to date. Once information started getting out about the project, we did hear from property owners regarding some initial concerns, such as increase in speed that could happen with the completion of this project, as well as traffic volume, bicycle and pedestrian safety concerns, and then also concerns related to the rural character of the community that could change with this project in place, and property values with this project in place. Next slide. Oh, back up one there. Okay, so there's communication from the neighbors in general, and then there's actually a lot of communication we've had with the Hunnell United neighborhood neighbors, the Huns. I'm sure they need no introduction. Very few neighborhoods in Deschutes County, or practically anywhere, I think, have the amount of communication and kind of community feel as you get when you set foot in the Huns area. We've gotten to know quite a few folks, great people, and we've had a great dialogue with the Huns throughout the summer and fall. I guess the leadership, so to speak, kicked off mostly by Michelle Bayard, who happens to be firing away a lot of questions. Bruce Halperin as well, also adding some questions here tonight. So we'll get to those at the end of the presentation. But want to express my appreciation of the Huns group and kind of helping us understand some things, making this a better project proposal that we're bringing forward tonight. All our conversations are actually very well documented on the Huns website at hunnell.org. So in addition to other information that was presented by other folks who called in, the Huns specifically wanted to hear about the project justification. Why are we doing this project? Talked about the speed limit concerns, traffic volume, road width. Curve geometry was a big concern brought forward. Providing a place for pedestrians in recognition of the fact that the Hunnell Road today is used, as a place where people like to get out and walk and exercise a little bit. Concerns regarding cut-through traffic were expressed. Traffic calming, again, what can be done to slow traffic and not disrupt the neighborhood feel. Huns raised opposition to commercial wayfinding signage that would direct folks from kind of the Golden Triangle commercial area to use Hunnell. Opposition, which has never been proposed. I want to get that out there, and we'll talk about that as well. Opposition to turn lanes at Tumalo Road. So originally we had proposed a left turn lane at Tumalo Road, and the Huns group expressed opposition to that. In addition to the potential for commercial truck traffic that could be using Hunnell Road, was specific to what the Huns brought forward.
All right, so with that, I want to walk you guys through our current concept plan. So again, this concept plan is a culmination of the the projects as identified in our current TSB, coupled with those project scope of work we went through earlier, and then taking into account all of the input from residents and from the Huns that we've received to date. This is what we want to present to you guys tonight. So we'll start with our typical roadway section. So what we're showing here includes a total paved roadway width of 30 feet. So that includes 11-foot travel lanes in either direction and a 4-foot wide paved shoulder bikeway. That's really kind of our minimum standard for a collector road per our code. Our minimum for a collector would be an 11-foot travel lane, and for a collector road with a shoulder bikeway, that shoulder bikeway would be 4 feet wide. So one component we've added to this based on some of the input is on one side of the road right now, we're proposing constructing a 6-foot wide gravel shoulder. And that's really to provide a space for equestrian, pedestrian traffic. Again, a concern raised by residents there on Hunnell Road that they wanted to have a space for that. So not an amenity that we usually incorporate into our roads as we're delivering road projects, but nonetheless one that we've incorporated here into this concept. So looking at our roadway alignment, we'll start at the north end of the road here. Generally, this project follows the existing alignment of Hunnell Road and within that existing right-of-way, with just a couple notable exceptions. One of those being right adjacent to the intersection with Pohaku Road. So with this project, what we're proposing to make the Pohaku Road a little more functional intersection, and also to alleviate the safety concerns with those two really sharp curves in the Hunnell alignment right there, is this basically flattening of these curves to move that alignment for Hunnell Road a little bit to the east. So with this, Pohaku Road intersects Hunnell Road at a T intersection. You can see on the screen there, those areas that are shaded in red are portions of the existing Hunnell Road that would be demolished, so that the road didn't wind up being a cut-through road situation there. But the remainder of the existing roadway would remain there to provide access to those properties with driveways in that vicinity. With this, we'd be putting in a new canal crossing. Where we're showing that canal crossing right now is basically where we can attack the canal at the least amount of skew to reduce the amount of structure that we have to build over the canal. Moving south here, again, for the most part, we're generally following the same road alignment with that new section that was shown on the previous slide. We get down to this curve here around the hill south of Sunbeam Lane, and at the north end of that curve, we're proposing some realignment to, again, flatten that curve. With all the curvature on the road here, in general, we're using a design speed of 35 miles per hour. So we've designed this so that curves can safely be navigated at 35 miles per hour. And our intent also with this project, and we'll get to this more a little bit, is to post a speed limit of 35 miles per hour on Hunnell Road. For those of you maybe not familiar with it, I mean, presently now there is no posted speed limit on Hunnell Road. The actual speed limit based on state law is 55 miles per hour. So with this project, we'd actually be reducing the speed limit on the road. So we'll continue south here. We get down to the intersection with Rogers Road, and we're proposing making that intersection a 4-way stop. Rogers Road also being a collector road, we can, under the manual of uniform traffic control devices, the standards, one of many standards that we have to abide by, it allows for us to do that. Kind of an inherent benefit from that, although it's not the intent, but it does provide for some level of traffic calming, slowing people down so that they have to stop and navigate the intersection. Then continuing south, lastly, the segment there south of Bowery Lane down to Loco Lane, completing that connection there. The current goat path that exists there right now, a lot of that actually is outside of the dedicated right-of-way. So with this project, we'd be constructing the road within the established public right-of-way. So next I want to talk about some of the traffic calming elements that we're proposing adding to the project. And so in general, traffic calming is introducing features to slow traffic down and to give them strong indicators that they're traveling through an area where they need to watch their speed and signifying to them that this is an area where people live. So one of the ways we're proposing doing this, and this is also based on feedback we got from the Huns, is by introducing raised median islands. And right now we're proposing 8 locations for those, kind of scattered throughout the whole alignment here. Our intent with these is to position those in areas where they wouldn't impact driveways, so they wouldn't be located immediately adjacent to anyone's driveway, so people would still be able to turn left and right as they pull out of their driveway. But the example you see here is actually where we incorporated those on Skyliners Road with the Skyliners Road project that was delivered about 5 years ago. Definitely seen some benefit from those and slowing traffic and alerting drivers that they're driving through in kind of a unique area where they need to, they need to watch their speed. A couple other traffic calming elements that we're proposing with this project. One is introducing dynamic speed feedback warning signs. So many of you have probably seen these before. These are speed posting signs that are coupled with a radar activated display that shows people how fast they're driving. Speed posting signs work best when they're coupled with a police car sitting there to enforce that speed, but recognizing that we don't have that everywhere all the time, the next best thing we have in our toolbox is these dynamic speed feedback units that show people how fast they're driving and kind of give them an indication if they need to slow down. We're implementing these more and more in our road system. They work real well. So with this project right now, we're proposing 8 locations, 4 in the northbound direction, 4 in the southbound direction. Also, as Chris alluded to earlier, the concerns regarding commercial truck traffic using Hunnell Road. Another one of our goals with the project is we intend to approach the Board of County Commissioners prior to completion of this project with adopting an order to restrict through truck traffic on this road. So assuming that our Board of County Commissioners was agreeable to that, we would post the road for no through trucks prior to completion of the project.
All right, back to me. So I want to just kind of review in tabular format here some of the design treatments, a lot of which Cody just talked about, to address the neighborhood concerns that we've heard from adjacent neighbors and specifically from the Huns. So with regards to speed limit, most county collectors are 45 miles per hour or higher. In recognition of the fact that this is going through a neighborhood, we've agreed to initially sign this as a 35 mile per hour speed limit, and then accompany that with the traffic calming measures that Cody mentioned to really kind of help reinforce that and keep it down. So much lower, it loses its efficiency as a collector when people are driving too much slower. 35 mile per hour is the probably low end for a collector roadway speed limit. As far as road width goes, as Cody mentioned, we're proposing 11-foot travel lanes. That's our minimum standard. And then we're also proposing 4-foot bike lanes, which is also the minimum standard. Originally, we had proposed 6-foot and then 5-foot bike lanes, but recognizing the concerns of the neighbors that wider roads sometimes encourage speeding, we've agreed to propose 4-foot bike lanes, and your input on that would be appreciated as well. Regarding a place for pedestrians, as Cody showed in the typical section of the roadway, typically we have a 2-foot wide gravel shoulder. What we're proposing is a 6-foot wide gravel shoulder on one side of the road that would be more accommodating to people that want to walk, potentially ride horses, stay off the paved way well enough and feel comfortable, hopefully, in doing so. As far as traffic calming goes, Cody mentioned the median treatments. There's 8 of them proposed in the project. Dynamic feedback signage, also eight signs to kind of reinforce that 35 mile per hour speed limit, and then the 3-way stop at Rogers. To address cut-through traffic, a lot of what we're doing in terms of traffic calming hopefully reduces the attractiveness of Hunnell Road as a cut-through route by adding delay with that lower speed limit, traffic calming measures, and again, the 3-way stop. Cody mentioned the commercial truck traffic issue, and then no through truck signage that will be approved by the board or received by the board for this project. And then opposition to commercial wayfinding signage. No signage has been proposed like that for Hunnell, other than just basic street signage, nameplate signs. And so we would not direct any commercial traffic to use Hunnell Road to get out of the Golden Triangle commercial area. Hunnell Road would be just another connected road to the system. The opposition to turn lanes at Tumalo, again, we had proposed a left turn lane in Tumalo Road at Hunnell, and we've agreed to eliminate that from this project and would only bring that back in the future if safety concerns did develop, if there was a crash history that dictated the necessity for that type of improvement. So again, the fear was that that turn lane would be an attractor to traffic to draw them into use Hunnell. We've agreed to eliminate that from the project. So we talked previously about other projects in the area and really the amount of investment that's taking place in and around the north end of Bend and towards Redmond. Hopefully you've all been out and seen the new roundabout at Old Bend Redmond Highway and Tumalo Road. We recently opened up that roundabout, and that was part of a series of projects that we've been delivering in that South Canal Boulevard, Old Bend Redmond, Deschutes Market corridor. We've also, you may have noticed, started construction here in the last several weeks on a new roundabout at Tumalo Road and Tumalo Place, which is the other yellow dot on this map. So effectively the off-ramp to Highway 97 at Tumalo Road. Those are county projects. The state will be delivering a project next summer. It's US 97 Redmond to Bend project, and it just adds a lot of safety improvements along that Highway 97 corridor between Bend and Redmond, most notably a median barrier in spots and other safety improvements. And so that is a 2021 construction project. And I believe there's been a lot of discussion of ODOT's projects. They do a pretty good job of getting the word out and having conversations, just like the ones we're having here tonight. A couple other projects kind of on the west side. Again, ODOT has a US 20 Deschutes River Bridge to Roble Road, a project that they're working on, and some of it which is in partnership with the county. That will include a new roundabout at the intersection of US 20 and Cook O.B. Riley, right there in Tumalo, primarily funded by the county, that location. They'll be doing pavement improvements from that intersection all the way to Roble Road. And then also, probably most importantly to this neighborhood is construction of a roundabout at Old Bend Redmond Highway and US 20 as well. And so this is pretty significant investment in that corridor. And I know that roundabout project or any sort of project to make the intersection of US 20 and Old Bend Redmond safer is of great importance to the folks listening to us here tonight. Finally, in terms of transportation, ODOT has the US 97 Bend North Corridor project that will realign US 97 and make other improvements on the north end of Bend and ideally take traffic signals off of that Parkway corridor that should significantly relieve congestion in that Cooley area. That's a 2022, 2023 project, could stretch beyond that. Stay tuned to ODOT as they begin to talk more about that project in the months and years to come. That's again, that goes back to the $60 million from the infra project, a federal grant that ODOT received, and another $50 million through House Bill 2017 that the state is putting in. So there's over $130 million in addition to City of Bend and Deschutes County contributions that to help fund and relieve congestion at that area. Finally, not a transportation project, but one that you'll experience in some form or fashion. City of Bend's constructing their North Sewer Interceptor project. It's ongoing, but it should be arriving on the north end of Bend to add capacity to Bend's north side. And you can see that alignment there in that red dashed line. That is currently under construction, and it should be wrapping up in 2022.
want to take you through our current schedule for our Hunnell Road project. The phase we're in right now, our preliminary engineering phase, which again started back in February, we anticipate that to continue on through the end of 2021. Presently, with this concept that we're presenting right now, tonight, we're at the 30% design stage for this project. Our intent is to, after getting input and comments from folks tonight and after tonight even, right now we're thinking tentatively through February of next year, and then taking those comments and incorporating that into our final 30% design before we move forward to our construction plans. We're intending to start a right-of-way acquisition process in April of next year. We anticipate we'll be contacting impacted property owners in March with formal notice about that and get that kicked off with individual property owners. So for those property owners, there'll be much more details to come. And then ultimately looking to advertise the project for bids in February of 2022, with then construction continuing on beginning in the spring of 22 and continuing on through the fall of that year. Presently, we're estimating that the project will cost $4.6 million. That's funds that we have available in our road capital improvement plan fund, projected through our 5-year CIP period. All right, so we're going to get into the questions and answer portion of our presentation tonight here in just a second. Before we do that, we just want to reiterate to folks, after tonight, please, any input you can provide to us, we'd love to hear from you. You can provide us with comments or questions through our project website at deschutes.org/Hunnell. If you scroll down to the bottom of the website, there's a comment feature where you can enter in your question or comment right there. And once you hit send, that'll come right to us and we'll get back to you. You can also just email us directly. We've got an email address set up for this project. Again, it's hunnellroad@deschutes.org. And if nothing else, you're certainly welcome to call us as well and talk to us on the phone about this. And hopefully in the not too distant future here, the COVID world will be behind us, and hopefully we can talk a little more face to face. So anyways, with that, I'll hand it over to Chris to kick off the Q&A portion.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone who's submitted questions, typed in questions. We've had someone who's actually sending them to us in a separate document, and so we're going to be reading those questions out loud and doing our best to answer them. And like I said, if we don't if we can't provide an answer because we don't have that information available, we'll be following up with publishing the Q&A at the conclusion of this meeting, probably in the next few days or so. So some of these questions were probably answered as we did the presentation, so we'll probably just kind of acknowledge that if we felt like we provide an answer to that. And so the first question, what are your traffic volume projections after completion of the project? What we have is currently we have a 2040 estimate of that 1,100 to 900 vehicles per day. And then we have roughly what it is measured in one specific spot, 400 vehicles per day. Once we make this connection, it certainly becomes that collector, and it will begin to, volumes will increase. I think that's obvious. People will divert from their existing routes and begin to use this to go north-south to get to Cooley Road and Highway 97 and points beyond. We don't have a day of opening estimate, but I think it's fair to say that, it's going to be less than, 900, 1,000 vehicles per day and more than 400 vehicles per day. And those are generally considered to be low volumes in the way of transportation infrastructure. So it's not going to be an expressway in any form or fashion. This is meant to really serve and collect and provide that missing piece of the transportation grid that's in that area. Second question, what were the reasons for declaring Hunnell Road improvement as a high priority in 2012? And when did the public involvement take place? So the 2012 process was the part of the transportation system plan process, which is a high level 30,000 foot county-wide system planning effort. What didn't happen was a specific neighborhood by neighborhood effort as it related to specific projects. Projects were identified globally and added to the plan as deficiencies were encountered in the system as a whole. It was a public process. There was a lot of board meetings, planning commission meetings. You didn't get a postcard like you did for this meeting, but there was a public process to plug into at that time. And so we have heard a lot about, the fact that, hey, this was a 2012 identified project, and this is the first time we're hearing about it. There's nothing we can really do about, what happened in 2012, other than the fact that state again that this was a public process, and people, the community as a whole was notified. As to why it was a high priority project, again, this is a missing piece of county system that is not in place. So we have very few segments like this that aren't built. For the most part, the road department maintains existing roads and then improves intersections where we have problems and modernizes the roads that we have. We don't do a lot of actually system completion, which is what this project does by basically connecting that southern piece and providing that collector that it is and will become. And for that reason, I think that was why it was a part of the high priority. It completed a part of a missing system. Second reason, it parallels Highway 97, and a good parallel local system is pretty important to kind of complement the state system. We don't want a bunch of driveways on Highway 97. It's recently been designated as a 65-mile-per-hour facility. That's interstate level speed. And what you don't see on interstates when you're driving I-5 and I-84 are driveways. Yet we have some of those on Highway 97, some of which could be made safer through right in, right out medians. Others could be eliminated together. And this project will provide some offload of that access function that Highway 97 is providing. And so for that reason, I too think it was designated as a high priority given that factor. Next question. The ODOT forecast shows outbound Old Bend Redmond at 7:44 and outbound Hunnell Road at 6:55. Are you saying your best traffic forecast is that PM Hunnell traffic will be very close in volume to the Old Bend Redmond level? No, I don't think we're saying that at all. I think that the traffic model is giving us what it thinks Hunnell Road will have on it in that build out year with the land use assumptions that have gone into that model. I don't think it has done a good job of estimating Old Bend Redmond. Old Bend Redmond is an arterial roadway. It's going to carry a much higher traffic volume than Hunnell Road. There's not that much of a good reason to divert from Old Bend Redmond or divert from Highway 97 to then get on to Hunnell, a lower speed road through a neighborhood with the traffic calming measures and other things. You're going to get where you want to go much quicker by using the arterials and the state highway and that's their purpose, is to provide that level of service. Next question, please address walkability. I'll give that one to Cody.
Well, I think generally we kind of covered that in the walkthrough of the concept plan, but we're providing for walkability here via the proposed 6-foot gravel shoulder that we're proposing adjacent to the road. We're not particularly sure which side of the road that's going to be located on yet. We're trying to balance the our impacts to the existing utilities there and minimize the cost to all those utilities to have to relocate their facilities as best they can. So You know, right now, we're not quite sure where that balances out, whether putting it on the east side of the road or the west side of the road is going to make more sense. But that's something we're working on right now and looking into. But again, the intent of that widened gravel shoulder is to provide you know, essentially provide a refuge for pedestrians.
All right, thank you, Cody. Next question, a series of questions. Will utilities be installed? We'll just take them one by one. Cody.
Will utilities be installed? I mean, you know, there's existing utilities located within that right of way. We've got, you know, Avion Waters out there. We've got power. We've got internet communications. We got the irrigation district. So, you know, as the project requires that those utilities be relocated within the public right of way, that will occur. As far as any new utilities being installed with the project, no, there's none that I'm aware of at this time. That would ultimately, new utilities being installed would be up to the utility service providers.
All right, any zone changes? So there's no zone changes that on any portion of this alignment that we are aware of at this time. Of course, this connects right into the city of Bend and their North UGB, and they have their own planning processes and potential development that can occur, you know, from Cooley to the UGB. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. Will taxes go up? The assessor will not be going out and reassessing properties at the conclusion of this project. So this project won't have any bearing on you know, your property being reassessed just simply by constructing this project. How will it affect property values? Well, you know, that's, I think, debatable. You know, I think some folks, you know, want to see this project. They want to see the improved level of access provided by this collector and the ability to get places. Others see this improvement in its connection as something that, you know, violates this neighborhood that's enjoyed some peace and quiet for many, many decades. And so there's the value of it. That is what it is, but there's the value that we hold to it ourselves personally. And that's, you know, debatable. And I think we're going to hear from both sides kind of through this process. Question, who are the residential developers and why do they have more influence than the resident taxpayers? I think that was in reference to one of your slides there, Cody.
Who are the residential developers? I guess I don't completely understand the question. I mean, I was making reference to in 2005, some property owners who were partitioning their properties and building new houses on their properties had approached the county to extend the improvement or to improve Hunnell Road south and complete the connection to Loco Road. The question about why they have more influence than a resident taxpayer, I don't really understand that question.
All right, next question. What are the project plans for Pahaku Road? What are the traffic projections on Pahaku? Will Pahaku be paved? If so, how wide? What will speed limit be? And will there be any bike pedestrian lanes? Basically, this project just connects Pahaku in its current state to the project, that small piece, and that new connection will be paved, but the existing part of the road will remain as it currently exists and will be maintained as it currently exists. There's no plans to do anything different at Pahaku, make any changes whatsoever. Next question. Why would Hunnell be a high priority when it's parallel to Old Bend Redmond Highway and services 110 properties? So talked about that a little bit. Given the fact that it's a missing link, so to speak, given the fact that it's a parallel collector road that provides access not to the highway, but to the local system, I feel like I've kind of addressed that already. You know, and I know some of our answers, you know, are still debatable to folks that have alternate opinions, and I respect that. All right, next question's a biggie. At the point on Hunnell Road where you indicated an accident in 2014, there's a little hill in the road. It also takes a jog to the east and back again. Your map shows that as a straight line. Are you cutting that hill down a bit and straightening the road at that location? Currently, maybe Cody, I'll defer to you on that.
I guess I don't quite understand the part where they say your map shows that as a straight line. So we have the map up here. I don't know if folks at home can see my cursor, but kind of generally near the middle of the screen there, you can see that jog in the road where, you know, there's that hump where the road goes around that hill. So we're not planning on straightening the road out there. No, the road will still curve around that hill, but we are intending to flatten the curve on the north side of the hill there to make that curve meet a minimum design speed of 35 miles per hour. So with that, there is some change to the alignment there, but we're not planning to straighten the road out right there.
All right. There's some additional comments, perhaps in that question. Yeah, I don't know if we can adequately answer that. Okay, next question. Any crashes on the two curves you identified? And I presume that those are the curves south of Sunbeam. I would say that, you know, what the slide that indicated where the crashes were reported is all the information we have. And so our goal is to, you know, provide an engineered design, as Cody indicated, through those curves. Next one, could we see the proposed realignment at the curve south of Sunbeam? If not tonight, when would this be available? So you've seen it a little bit schematically in the picture that we have up here. In terms of more detail, Cody?
In terms of more detail, I mean, again, our intent with this is to, you know, get feedback from folks tonight and after tonight, given what we're presenting here, and then, you know, incorporate that into a more refined plan. When we get closer to that, yeah, we'll have a more refined concept plan with a little more detail. We're not going to put out full-blown construction plans to folks ahead of our actual bid advertisement for the project. That kind of there's some legal implications there with when we're bidding this out as a public improvement project. But yeah, and then I think more importantly, with the property owners that are adjacent to those areas, in particular where there'll be right-of-way impacts. I mean, we'll be working with those property owners very closely and providing them with as much information as we can to get through that right-of-way acquisition process.
All right. So next two questions have to do with the homeless tents and the homeless situation on existing Hunnell south of Loco. So will you please address the homeless tents, cars, and RVs on South Hunnell and Loco roads? Is there a plan in place to address the issue before work on Hunnell improvements begin? What will happen to the homeless population currently residing on the south end of Hunnell? So we have talked to the city of Bend about that. That segment of road is city of Bend. Their intention is to, once this road's completed, of course, it's going to have traffic on it in a different form and fashion than currently exists today. There would be more traffic in that area. Their intention is to actually stripe bike lanes and continue, you know, a bike lane all the way to Cooley. And at that point, you know, that involves, you know, cleaning up that area, and you know, the homeless population would have to be dispersed. As far as what happens to them, you know, it's an unfortunate thing. We probably don't have the skill set to comment on per se, but it is a sad situation down there, and this project, unfortunately, will, you know, result in a change to some folks' circumstances, but certainly will help clean up that area and so on and so forth. Next question.
Sorry, I was just going to add one thing quick to that. I mean, you know, certainly, you know, in general, homelessness is a bit of a problem here in Deschutes County and in Central Oregon. One place it's just, you know, we aren't experiencing it as a problem is within our county road right-of-ways. I mean, in general, camping within a public road right-of-way is a violation of state law. Our sheriff's department does a pretty good job of enforcing that. It's just not an issue we're seeing in the right-of-way of our public roads on the county system. City of Bend might be a different matter, but for the most part, our sheriff's office has done a fairly good job of enforcing the law against camping and public road right-of-ways.
So next question, what problems are you trying to fix that warrant a collector standard that a neighborhood road would not address? So the question is to do with, why are you doing a collector, and you could build a lesser standard like a local road standard. And to that question, once we can make that connection north of Loco and really connect up to Rogers, it becomes a collector by nature of the length of the road, the spacing to other areas, the amount of local street traffic from Sunbeam, Low, Oahu, Rogers, Bowery, that will all be using that road. It becomes a collector, not by the county designating it so, but by the fact that it's spaced appropriately, it's providing that connectivity to local roads, it's providing that route that people want to drive, but don't have available to them. And so, if we're going to have the volumes on that road, if it's going to look like a collector and act like a collector, it doesn't make any sense to then design it with a lesser pavement standard, with a lesser width, in which case cyclists would not have a safe separated bike lane, yet they'd be conflicting with volumes that are of a collector nature. We'd be inviting more problems by building something and pretending it's not what it is, would be my best answer to that. Next question, can you comment on when an updated traffic study for Hunnell will be done that includes updated land use requirements? So we do not intend to do any additional traffic modeling or traffic planning in this area associated with this project. We are doing a transportation system plan update, just like the one that was done in 2012, and we kicked that off here a few months ago, and it hasn't. We're kind of in that pre-planning process. It hasn't become a public process yet, but and that's the opportunity to address county issues countywide. But there's no additional traffic study here per se. Now that there are developments that are occurring. Costco, Fred Meyer, they do individual traffic studies that distribute traffic out onto the systems that serve that area. But again, what we have, the best tool we have for us is that 2040 traffic model, which indicates it's operating as a collector with the volumes that we've described. Next question, how reliable is your no truck speed in the long term? Will it be changed? Let's see, that question, I'm going to try to find it. So I'm looking at it in a separate, no, that's how it was typed. So basically, I think what you're trying to ask is, we sign it as no through trucks. How reliable is that? We have this in a few areas throughout the county. It's not, I would say, super reliable per se, but it does indicate to folks that trucks aren't welcome here, and for the most part, trucks aren't going to want to be driving through a neighborhood with slower speeds, with three-way stops, plus the potential of it being in an enforced situation where they could get a ticket as a through truck under a normal circumstance. It does exist with a board order in place. Cody, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, I think you generally touched on it all. I mean, I guess the part regarding speed in the long term, I mean, something we got to be upfront with is ultimately we, Deschutes County, don't determine what the speed limits are on our roads. That task by state law is left up to the Oregon Department of Transportation, and they do that through a speed zone investigation process that they conduct. Our intent is to set this road up as a 35-mile-per-hour road, sign it as a 35-mile-per-hour road, and then after that's done, back it up with ODOT doing their investigation. Hopefully everything we implement with this project works and traffic is driving at or below 35 miles per hour, and then ODOT's analysis would yield that a 35-mile-per-hour speed limit via a speed zone order would be appropriate. So, but outside of that, I mean, as far as long-term, I guess I don't really know what long-term means. Certainly we can't promise things 20, 30, 40 years out here, just don't know. we don't know what highway traffic's going to look like in that time, really. But anyways, our intent is certainly for the length of our careers here that this would operate as a 35 mile per hour designated road, and commercial truck traffic would not use it.
All right. Next question. Why can't we keep the existing curves as traffic calming devices? They would be the most economic option. Biggest reason, and Cody alluded to this kind of earlier on, these weren't engineered curves by any stretch of the imagination. We can't, make this amount of investment in a corridor and then leave a part of it, not appropriately designed for, the traffic that's coming into it and driving out of it from a safety standpoint. So the nature of the question is fair. Can we have shorter radius curves that help slow traffic? We are doing that for the most part by keeping curves down at that 30 to 35 mile per hour design speed in Congress with the 35 mile per hour intended speed limit for the corridor. Next question, what other roads in the county are considered collector roads? So we've kind of touched on a couple, and they do take on different forms and fashions. Tumalo Road is a collector road, so is Rogers Road, and so one certainly functions differently than the other there, but those are two close by that are designated collectors. And again, a lot of it's based on spacing and how the transportation system needs to have different roads of different classifications spaced at various intervals to function well. Next question, why not wait until Highway 97, Old Bend Redmond, Highway 20 improvements are complete? I understand that, but this project's been a part of our plan, and it's certainly designated as a collector since '98, a high priority since 2012. Its existence and its functionality as a through collector route helps the state highway. It's in, like I said, it's a part of the system that complements what highway traffic is needing to do, and that's provide safe, high-speed through traffic to folks who are driving on 97, not have to deal with driveways, people pulling out from unexpected places. So this road has been a part of the system that we're all relying upon, be it ODOT, be it the city of Bend, who've made decisions on where to connect their parts of the transportation system to it. And I'd like to think that it is a well thought out facility and system in this area as it pertains to this being a collector that connects the city's collector that offloads potential driveways off 97 and so on. So we could wait, but again, this has a function it needs to perform that helps those projects work better also. In your experience, how long do gravel shoulders last? Will horses degrade the shoulders more quickly? Will the county maintain the shoulders when they degrade? We gravel shoulders, once, biggest deteriorator on gravel shoulders is stormwater. And, that has an impact such that we have to get out and re-gravel shoulders from time to time. It'll probably be 5 to 10 years before, this road would probably get a shoulder regrading effort based on just how typical shoulders degrade. Will horses degrade the shoulders more quickly? Yeah, probably. So if horses are using the shoulders, that may up the time frame where we need to get out and blade, especially that widened shoulder. And the answer to the last question is yes, the county will maintain the shoulders when they degrade. They're a part of our system. And what we're promising here in that 6-foot gravel shoulder comes with a maintenance responsibility as well. Would you agree to 3-way stops at Pahaku, Sunbeam, and Low Lane? Cody.
I'd have to say no presently. I mean, we can't just put stop signs in arbitrarily where we want to. I kind of referenced before, I mean, when we put stop signs in, we do it based on criteria that's established in federal standards, the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. So when I was talking about the intersection with Rogers Road and Hunnell Road, that's a case where we have a collector road intersecting with the collector road. So we've got standards and we've got warrants we can meet there, which would make putting stop signs in there acceptable. Putting stop sign, always stop sign, stop control intersections in where we have these local roads intersecting a higher order, higher volume collector road is just not going to meet warrants for stop signs right now. And so if it's not meeting that criteria, we can't just, again, arbitrarily install those stop signs.
All right, next question. Any future plans that would connect Hunnell to Old Ben Redmond? That segment does exist. There are no future plans to improve it. It is a local road designation in that area. Next question, as a collector road that was presented as an improvement for local residents' access to arterials, how can 1,100 vehicles per day by 2040 compared to the current limited volume as an acceptable increase for vehicles going past our homes? It sounds like a tremendous amount of traffic is projected from the outside the area, not just our neighborhood. You know, again, it's a part of a system. We're not going to say that, you know, this road is simply provide access to the people who live adjacent to this road. It is a part of a transportation system that's connected on one end to the city of Bend, which is right at the boundary of this neighborhood, to a county collector to the north, you know, that does connect to Highway 97 and an arterial. Again, what we're trying to do with the improvements that we're talking about here in terms of traffic calming, lower speeds, we're trying to reduce the attractiveness of this route to be something that generates a significant amount of cut-through traffic. We're not going to sit here and say that it's not going to have cut-through traffic, but we're doing our best to try to limit that as much as possible. And it's a change, and it will result in higher traffic volumes than what, you know, some of you experience today in front of your homes. That said, you know, 1,100 vehicles per day is not a amount of traffic volume. It's definitely on the lower end of collector volumes. It's not upwards of 4,000 to 5,000 vehicles per day that we can see and do experience on some collector roadways. So yes, it's a change, and you know, we're sorry about that, but it's a part of the system and the greater good, so to speak. Why not wait to see traffic effects of new roundabout, Highway 97 reline before initiating this project? So it kind of felt like we maybe answered that already. Where specifically was the 400 vehicle per day measurement taken? So this is just south of Tumalo Road, is where we, you know, on a paved section is where we historically have placed our tube counters. And, you know, and we don't do that every year. That's pretty infrequent, especially on roads like Hunnell that are, you know, aren't a collector yet in terms of at least the functionality. Question, I thought you indicated that the land use assumptions for the traffic study have not been updated since 2016. That's true. They have not been updated to my knowledge because the land use assumptions in 2016 from a modeling perspective, in terms of what the city of Bend has in the way of zoned property, and again, it's based on the zoning. None of that has really changed of significance in that Golden Triangle area. And so we did ask them to run a model run with, you know, right before we started this project conversation, and none of the land use assumptions had changed such that the model results were any different than they were in 2016. Follow up on utilities. Will the power lines be buried? Cody, you can take this.
Will the power lines be buried? So if we're talking about existing overhead power lines being buried, my answer would be no. I mean, that ultimately, you know, for us, the road department, to compel the utility companies to bury all their overhead power lines, we would have to have a pretty strong case for that would because that's going to be at a considerable cost to those utilities. So no, we don't have any reason to force those utility companies to do that. And I would assume that the utility companies don't intend to do that on their own accord. So, no, I think generally the power lines where they are overhead now will continue to be overhead.
Next question, why not just pave the unpaved sections and leave the road in its current right-of-way? So, kind of talked about this already. Once we make that connection to Loco Road from Rogers Road, it functions as a collector. And so, I think we're obligated to then treat it like a collector and improve it like a collector, rather than give you something with traffic volumes and functionality that is not appropriate based on its design. What is the time frame for completing the Old Bend Redmond Highway 20 roundabout in regards to Hunnell project? So as best we can tell, these are both, our project's a 2022 project. The ODOT project is also proceeding as a 2022 project as well. In terms of the specific months and days in which those projects will start and be completed, too soon to tell. So what if you're wrong and the commercial area goes in Hunnell, traffic goes into 2,500 vehicles per day? This is conceivable. Again, what we've endeavored to do with what we've started here with is to provide a route that's not attractive to cut through. If we were at 2,500 vehicles per day, we would be experiencing a lot of cut through traffic. So we would make additional efforts to make it even less attractive to cut through traffic based on whatever might be happening that would result in that much traffic using this road. Next question, what about 25-mile-per-hour curves on a 35-mile-per-hour road? Cody.
I think we've answered this question kind of basically in a different form already, but again, 35 miles per hour is at the far low end of an acceptable design speed on a collector road. To set it at a speed more in the neighborhood of 25 with the context here, we run into issues with the potential for creating speed traps. And again, we're with that 35 miles per hour, we're already pushing the extreme low end of what a standard speed would be on a collector road. Again, generally on our collector road systems, we're looking at 45 mile per hour or greater speeds. So yeah, it's just that 25 mile per hour for a design standard is just too low for a collector road.
All right. What's your plan if people don't adhere to 35 miles per hour? So, we do get calls all the time from people residents on roads that where we do have speeding problems. And so, we actually have a very good relationship with the sheriff's office in terms of, working together, both from an engineering standpoint and an enforcement standpoint to try to get traffic to drive the speed that we need it to drive. That's our goal with this project. And it's not something where we build it and walk away. We own and maintain this road in perpetuity. And if there's one neighborhood I would count on in this county to keep us informed as to what's happening out there, it would be this neighborhood and the good people in the Huns organization. And so, we would continue to do, to look at alternatives, but primarily, enforcement components. Of course, enforcement will be a part of this, prior to it, once it's established as well. So again, there's traffic calming measures that we would take a look at, just like what we're starting with here. Let's see. What influence did Costco and Fred Meyer have on this project? Costco and Fred Meyer did not have any influence on this project. This project was designated as a collector in '98, designated as a high priority in 2012, long before this area was contemplated with those two specific developments. There have been others, certainly, that have come and gone and been whispered in the Golden Triangle area. Bottom line is it's commercial property that's going to develop one way or another based on its zoning. And so they didn't have any influence on this. What influenced it the most is the fact that, we finally have resources to build projects and attack the priorities in our transportation system plan, such as the roundabouts, safety projects that you've seen around the area, and then build this missing link, so to speak. We have a clarifying question here. The hill I mentioned earlier is about 100 meters south of Mitchell Road. Let's see. Okay. There's a hump in the road, and then Hunnell jogs to the east on the Starwoods property, then back again. Will that encroachment be remedied?
Yes. Yes, that will be remedied. And thank you for clarifying that. I understand better now what you're talking about. But yeah, the intent here is to construct the road within the established right-of-way. In places where we can't do that within the established right-of-way, we'll be acquiring new right-of-way. So when the project's all said and done, the road will exist within dedicated public right-of-way.
All right, next question. I'm a property owner of the 10 acres that is clearly county, located at Cooley and Hunnell. So you are saying 35 miles to Loco or to Cooley?
We're saying to Loco. We can't account for the section between Loco and Cooley that's within the city of Bend. That's the city of Bend's the road authority there. Off the top of my head, I want to say there's already a posted speed limit on that road. I don't remember what it is exactly, but that's going to be an issue with or a question for the city of Bend.
Next question. There are state highways that have 25 to 35 mile per hour curves on them in 55 mile per hour areas. So why can't we have curves to help slow down and discourage through traffic? Cody, you take first shot at that.
Well, I think the first point you made is you are going to have curves. We're not going through here to completely straighten out every curve and make this a drag strip. We're really specifically only talking about curves in 3 locations. Those sharp 90-degree turns there in the vicinity of Pahaku Road. That I mean, we've got a fairly consistent record of complaints on those. We don't have, in the last 5 years, we don't have any history of a recorded crash happening there, but I'm fairly confident that there have been crashes there, and possibly the reason we're not seeing recorded crashes there is because people are navigating that so cautiously, which is obviously a good thing, but nonetheless, I mean, it's, we can't, if we're going to touch this road, we have to build it to current standards. We can't keep it. This road was the alignment for this road was chosen over 100 years ago, back when automobiles were not really that prevalent. I mean, we can't keep the road to those standards for 100 years ago if we're modernizing it. So I guess that'd be the first part of it I'd add. Okay.
Will the county be connecting Harris Way formally to Hunnell at this time? So Harris, I think, is that little road that's almost makes it to Hunnell on the east side. We will not. Harris is a local access road. The county, when it comes to local access roads, we don't have any maintenance responsibility or any obligation to do anything associated with that. That said, if that property owner wanted to come in and dedicate over that, the county would accept that as a local access road, but not as something that would be maintained by the county. I believe that connection there exists today, but it's just not within it in right of way. You've used the term Golden Triangle several times tonight. Where is that at? What are the boundaries? Welcome to Bend. I say that facetiously. Golden Triangle is a term that's been around for, I think, a couple decades. I want to say it kind of started with some of the discussions when the Parkway was being contemplated and, terminating at that commercial area bound by Cooley to the north, Highway 97 and Highway 20, forming that triangle. So it's generally referred to as that triangle of commercial property where Cascade Village exists and then future commercial is planned. Golden Triangle, based on the fact that it's commercial property and it's valued That's a term that's been around informally for decades with regards to that general area. So thanks for asking me to clarify that. Next question. What problem is the county attempting to solve by continuing with this project? I think we touched on that a lot tonight. Again, it's completing a part of the system that does not exist, that complements the system around it, from Highway 97 to actually, the Old Bend Redmond is an arterial. There's no way to get north-south that well in this area unless you're driving on state highway or an arterial that's quite a ways away. There's subdivisions and lots in here that have school kids that go to school off Cooley and 18th. That's quite a circuitous route, and it's one that is simply solved by making this connection that again has been a part of the county's plan for over 20 years, that has been attempted numerous times, as Cody kind of started the presentation with, attempted to be constructed several times, and its time has come, is basically how we feel about it. We feel it's an important piece of the transportation system, not just the county itself. So with that, I'm told there's another question coming in. It's a comment. Well, thank you, Mac McDonald, for sharing that. Again, I want to thank everyone for sticking it out with us tonight. Cody, if you could back up a slide, there we go. Let's continue this dialogue. We want to hear from you regarding what's important to you with this project. Please feel free to reach out to us directly now, and we can continue to refine this design. We've refined it quite a bit based on the information and input we've had to date. We want to proceed with this project in a way that it complements what happens in the neighborhood, add safety and functionality to that area and the system in general. So thank you again, and have a good night.
Thank you all.